Lionized mindset. It is said that performance and performance alone dictates the predator in any food chain. Therefore, a lionized mindset strives to be self-initiated, dynamic, cool under pressure, as well as stylish and debonair. So sit back as I roll out the red carpet, detailing and lacing you up through a series of 7 videos explaining 7 mental laws on establishing a foundation on attaining a lionized mindset. Now, a crucial and pressing question that begs to be answered is how does this clip I'm about to show you from Star Wars ties into your success or failure when maneuvering upon the chessboard of life?
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
You underestimate my power!
Don't try it!
Checkmate. Welcome to another episode of the Chronicles of Gameology. I'm your host, Neil K. Marcellus. As for the importance and the significance of that clip you just witnessed, as it pertains to the topic and your success or failure upon the chessboard of life. And also, the topic of this show is the 4th law on lionizing your mindset. Out of a series of 7, I might add. This 4th law is referred to as being a playmaker. But back to that particular clip and the significance it plays into your overall success. It shakes hands with a key tenet that's embedded within the game of chess. As you already should be familiar with, I use the concept of chess to shed light upon the principles of game. That particular clip that you just witnessed, it emphasized the importance of attaining the high ground. That particular tenet I just mentioned within the game of chess, it is referred to as controlling the center. Controlling the center and attaining the high ground pretty much is the same concept that contributes to your overall success. So peep game. This image that I'm showing you is of a chessboard. A chessboard is constructed of 64 individual squares. These 4, highlighted in purple, constitutes the high ground when it comes to the game of chess. Controlling the high ground of the chessboard is important because the chess pieces, this is where they attain maximal power when they are positioned on these 4 particular squares. They achieve maximal flexibility within their movement, and they provide a savvy chess player the ability to implement strategies, because strategies is a long-term outlook versus tactics, which is a short-term outlook. Now, you might be thinking, how does this concept of attaining the high ground and controlling the middle or controlling the center contributes to my overall success? Good question. The high ground, as it pertains to the chessboard of life, has to do with the power of leverage. The power of leverage is emphasized on how the chess pieces has maximal flexibility and maximum maneuverability upon the chessboard. This concept applies to you when you apply game in particular areas that you deem important. In that particular clip from Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi warns his apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, not to attempt a particular maneuver because he didn't have the leverage. Leverage as it relates to you using it upon the chessboard of life, has to do with the concept of time. In Robert Greene's famous book, The 48 Laws of Power, he mentioned 3 categories of time that one needs in order to master this game called life. These 3 categories of time, he referred to them as long time, force time, and end time. The power and importance of leverage was emphasized by a famous Greek mathematician by the name of Archimedes. He said, "Give me a place to stand and a lever long enough, and I will move the world." I definitely need to make a point of clarification in case someone got this misconstrued. When I mentioned that Robert Greene in his book, The 48 Laws of Power, classifies the concept of time under 3 categories, one of these categories falls under the phrase and is conceptualized within his book as the end time. In no shape, form, or fashion does this have to do with the erroneous notion of some apocalyptic or destruction revelation type bullshit. Simply put, Robert Greene was referring to the skill of an individual in order to collapse time frames. When an individual has the type of skill to collapse time frames, they have the ability to expedite a positive situation and to bring into manifestation the outcome sooner versus than later. So this concept of end time speaks to the ability of one to utilize the power of leverage. Oh yeah, by the way, hit that like and subscribe button. Now, you might be thinking, are we not living among treacherous and unprecedented times? Oh, absolutely. But, as the Wu-Tang Clan so eloquently puts it, for one to live perpendicular to the square, meaning to be aware of the bribe of heaven and the threat of hell, is to have a functional cipher. Recall what I laid out in the 3rd law of lionizing your mindset? These 7 laws do not work in isolation, they work in tandem. This 4th law of lionizing your mindset, being a playmaker, it requires a practitioner to manage their expectations. This 3rd law, or this 4th law of lionizing your mindset, being a playmaker, it pivots around the understanding that expectations are a mental snapshot or a representation of what some impending or future moment will look, sound, taste, and feel like. What disqualifies an individual from utilizing this 4th law of lionizing their mindset is their inability to manage the blowback from their unfulfilled expectations. Earlier in this video, I showed you a clip from Star Wars where Obi-Wan Kenobi warns his apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, not to attempt a particular maneuver because Obi-Wan Kenobi understood that his apprentice haven't properly managed his unfulfilled expectations. This reaches back to the 1st law of lionizing your mindset, which was the law of holding things down. Pretty much that law, I broke down this pain avoidance mechanism and how to manage it. This pain avoidance mechanism, it operates on a conscious and subconscious level. On a conscious level, it operates by having you rationalize and justify illegitimate information and situations where you know it doesn't stand on firm legs. And on a subconscious level, it blocks your perception It points back to that third law of lionizing your mindset, where I broke down your cipher, where I broke down basically you have 3 ways that you frame or utilize a reference point in order to frame the reality around you. You either going to have this point of view that is based upon superstition, or this point of view based upon assumptions and belief. Like I said in that episode, you cannot spell the word belief without spelling the word lie. But in order for you to operate as a gameologist, in order for you to operate as a street savvy practitioner, you must have a cipher. Your point of view or your frame of referencing must be based upon properly measuring reality around you. In order for you to implement this 4th law of being a playmaker, you must understand your playbook. This particular image right here shows 4 particular principles that a playmaker must understand about their playbook in order for them to move efficiently upon the chessboard of life. These particular principles speaks to the proper understanding of having goals. For a gameologist, they understand goals is broke down within what is your current negative, what is your current positives, what is your impending or your future positives, and also your future negatives. Most men or cats are motivated to accomplish a particular outcome because of their current negatives. And this is the reason why I frequently mention what pains a man trains a man. Because your current negatives, if you are using this as your initial fuel in order to move forward, this is insufficient. Therefore, this is the reason why so many men have such a hard time in implementing game and gameology and following the lion's path of fortifying their mindset, because it all reaches back to not managing their unfulfilled expectations. Their impending, their future mind state, which is the positive minus the negative, is worse than their current situation. And so they have this mismanagement or snapshot of understanding how to think in probabilities. Because when you have a proper understanding of these 4 principles within this playbook, you have the ability to think in probabilities. Individuals who are insufficient at managing their expectations, they nearly always have this deficiency because they undervalue their own current positives, and they trivialize their impending future negatives. This means they will always end up underestimating the positiveness of their current situations and do a double whammy and vastly overestimate the positives of their impending or future state. In conclusion, for a practitioner to implement this 4th law of being a playmaker and secure the high ground or control the center, as it is referred to in the game of chess, they must manage their expectations. Basically, there are many chapters to this particular law as well, and I will be doing other shows breaking down the other chapters pertaining to this vast understanding of being a playmaker. But in order for you to start to utilize this particular law, you must manage your unfulfilled expectations. Because those 4 principles that I showed you within the playbook, it all comes about once you manage and understand those 4 principles, then you can be, or you can think in probability. Thinking in probability allows you not to miscalculate your future negatives and positives. Because this is when you can be utilized, or this is when you qualified to utilize leverage. Because controlling the center and attaining the high ground is all about your ability to use leverage. When you don't manage your expectations, your unfulfilled expectations, then you disqualify yourself in order to take the high ground. And doing so, you disqualify yourself in utilizing a tool, an asset, which is leverage. Having leverage gives you the ability to accomplish the most simply by doing the least. Now, that's checkmate. Thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next episode.